Parasite, Gu, breeding longevity path, starting from the love-enamored Gu. Author, Thousand Lakes True Person. Chapter 401. So what if it's a nascent soul ancestor? Doesn't everyone have one? Part 1. However, he also admired Chen Tao's character, which was characterized by gratitude and righteousness, which was in stark contrast to the selfish cultivators. Perhaps this also had something to do with Chen Tao's living environment. Though she had experienced a catastrophe in her childhood, with her family murdered by demon cultivators, leaving behind only her and her 3 sisters. But under the protection of Master Peach Blossom, she was able to grow up healthily and ascend to the Golden Core realm. Furthermore, because they had a nascent soul ancestor backing them, no one dared to harm them. Everyone around them seemed to be good-hearted. At the very least, they acted as if they were, never daring to deceive or exploit them. This ultimately nurtured their naive personality traits. Honestly, such naivete, without anyone to protect them, would not last long in the harsh cultivation world. The thing was, the 4 of them were incredibly lucky. Previously, they were protected by Master Peach Blossom, and now it was Zhou Sui's turn to protect them. In a sense, they were favored by fortune. Young Master Zhou, you set up a 4th stage formation in the Tri-Star Island group. Could it be that young Master Zhou is now a 4th level array master? Wait, how are you able to use divine consciousness transmission, young Master Zhou? Where are you? Hearing this, Chen Tao widened her beautiful eyes, unable to contain her surprise. She knew that Zhou Sui was a 3rd class, high-grade array master, but she didn't expect that after all these years, he had become a 4th level array master. What's more, he had silently set up a 4th stage formation around the Tri-Star Island group, which was beyond comprehension. If Zhou Sui's words were true, then with the power of the 4th stage formation, they could indeed withstand a nascent soul cultivator. Now, she was full of questions and curiosity about Zhou Sui. She felt that she now had to hold this man in even higher regard. Don't ask so many questions, I'm right on you. Have you forgotten? I once gave you a hairpin. I left my secret technique on it. Let's go, don't delay time, or the nascent soul cultivator might catch up. Zhou Sui said impatiently. Okay. Chen Tao nodded, without a word, she took the storage bags from the 3 golden core demon cultivators, took out a 3rd-grade flying boat, and flew towards Immortal Mist City. Several days later, she finally reached Immortal Mist City and returned to Immortal Mist Peak without any incidents. Young Master Zhou. Seeing Zhou Sui appear before her, Chen Tao finally breathed a sigh of relief. She had been running scared for the past few days, with her nerves on edge, for fear that the nascent soul ancestor might catch up. Now that she was back home, she felt relieved. Sister Chen Tao, weren't you going to look for information on the divinity transformation relics? Why do you look so flustered? At this moment, Xia Tao, Kai Dao, and Dong Tao also crowded around. The 4 sisters depended on each other for survival, and they could naturally sense Chen Tao's current state of panic. Something major must have happened to cause their sister Chen Tao to have such an expression. They were all worried. Here's what happened. I ran into 3 demon cultivators from Haisha Palace. Chen Tao then recounted what had happened, including Zhou Sui's assistance. If not for Zhou Sui's special method left on her, she would have been dead by now. Young Master Zhou, we are truly grateful. Hearing this, Xia Tao, Kai Dao, and Dong Tao all looked at Zhou Sui with immense gratitude. They were also filled with lingering fear. If it were not for the method left by Zhou Sui, their sister Chen Tao would have probably been done for. Honestly, they couldn't imagine what they would look like if their sister Chen Tao died. They probably wouldn't be able to go on living. Your trouble is far from over. You just killed 3 golden core demon cultivators from Haisha Palace. Not only were you targeted by the cursed soul attractor, but you were also affected by the blood soul thread. It seems that Filian ancestor really values his disciples, even leaving behind a blood soul thread. Zhou Sui arched an eyebrow. He sensed an eerie thread in the color of blood entwining Chen Tao's body, as if it was connected to an unknown place in the void, and shackling her soul. Blood soul thread. This shocking news drained the colors of Chen Tao and others' faces. They knew all too well what a blood soul thread was. This was the method of the nascent soul ancestor. He could leave such a secret technique in the bloodline of his direct descendants. Once they were murdered, the blood soul thread would automatically attach to the killer, and lock onto the killer's aura. In fact, they had similar soul secret arts left by Master Peach Blossom on them as well. The objective was to deter other cultivators. This was to prevent blind-sighted cultivators from harming them. If someone dared to kill them, they would incur Master Peach Blossom's wrath, and he would personally seek revenge on the killer. Although this soul secret art was not as potent as the blood lineage secret technique, it was still pretty formidable. They never thought that they would one day be affected by a nascent soul ancestor's tracking method. No need to worry, it's just a mere blood soul thread. Zhou Sui casually motioned, immediately using the power of the Dream Soul Goo. Whiz! The Dream Soul Goo flew out and alighted on Chun Tao, biting gently. A crimson thread was instantly pulled out from Chun Tao's body and got devoured by the Dream Soul Goo, just as if it were its food. Immediately afterward, this blood-colored thread disappeared without a trace. It seems that among those 3 golden core demon cultivators, one of them is very likely the son of Felian ancestor. Chapter 402. So what if it's a nascent soul ancestor? Doesn't everyone have one? Part 2. Even if not, it must be a grandchild, or perhaps a relative. That's why there's a blood soul thread left in them. Once they were killed, the blood soul thread would automatically attach to the murderer. Even if separated by tens of thousands of miles, they would be found. Of course, deploying this bloodline secret technique is not easy, it requires the consumption of a large amount of blood energy to complete. That's to say, those 3 golden core demon cultivators held a high position in Felian ancestor's heart. Now that they're dead, Felian ancestor is likely to seek revenge. Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes. Clearly, such a bloodline secret technique was not something that could easily be deployed. This was enough to prove the importance Felian ancestor placed on them. I'm sorry, Chun Tao is incompetent, I've dragged young Master Zhou into this. Chun Tao's face was as grey as ash. Young Master Zhou. Xia Tao, Chu Tao and Dong Tao all looked at Zhou Sui with pale faces. They knew how terrifying it was to offend a nascent soul cultivator. Even Master Peach Blossom might not be able to protect their sister. Not to mention, Master Peach Blossom was on Giant Deer Island and couldn't possibly get here in a short amount of time. Even if he wanted to protect them, it would be impossible. If Felian ancestor was a demon cultivator from Haisha Palace, it would be even more impossible to save face for Master Peach Blossom. Undoubtedly, this was a huge catastrophe. Don't worry, it's just another nascent soul ancestor. We can wait for him to seek revenge. Zhou Sui was quite calm. He, along with Master Peach Blossom, had already killed 7 nascent souls on Giant Deer Island. He was very familiar with the power of a nascent soul cultivator. Even if the Felian ancestor really came to kill him, he wouldn't be afraid. Only a day had passed. 2 streams of light punched through the void and arrived among the Tri-Star Island group, reaching the outskirts of Water Star Island. One was a wrinkled old man clad in a black robe with long white hair and a long sword on his back. The terrifying aura of death and intent to kill released from his body seemed to cause the spiritual energy within a 1,000-mile radius to fluctuate. The other, wearing a red robe, was an ugly, thin-cheeked old man with white hair. He exuded a rotten aura, as if he was on his last leg. They were the 2 nascent soul ancestors of Haisha Palace, Felian ancestor and Fire Cloud ancestor, early-stage nascent soul. Whoever is in charge here, come out immediately. The speaker was Felian ancestor, his eyes exuding a fierce look, as he utilized the terrifying demon sound. Boom! A horrifying wave of sound swept 1,000 miles in all directions. Every word sparked a change in the environment, rolling the spiritual energy into a horrifying spiritual tide, covering all sides. This caused the entire immortal mist city to vibrate, causing pain in the countless cultivators' eardrums. Buzz! In an instant, the grand formation of Water Spirit Island rose, forming a barrier that enveloped the island. It immediately blocked this horrifying fluctuation. However, the third-order formation that enveloped the Water Spirit Island was still trembling, on the verge of collapse, unable to bear the power of this nascent soul. No way, a nascent soul ancestor, it's a nascent soul ancestor. What on earth is going on? How did Immortal Mist City offend 2 nascent soul ancestors? Oh no, Immortal Mist City is done for, it will likely be destroyed today. This seems to be a demon Deo nascent soul ancestor, is he here for revenge? Let's run away. This is a demon Deo nascent soul ancestor. If he vents his anger on us, none of us will survive. Fools, if he really wanted to kill us, do you think running away would help? You're right, if we run away now, will become easy targets and be the first to be killed by the nascent soul ancestor. Absolutely, it's still better to stay in Immortal Mist City. He may not necessarily vent his anger at us. Many cultivators in Immortal Mist City were terrified. Even protected by the Third Order formation, this nascent soul demon sound has permeated the entire city. This made many of the cultivators cough up blood, apparently suffering internal injuries. Luckily, this was only an offshoot and not a deliberate targeting. Otherwise, even the power of demon sound alone would have killed countless cultivators. This was the terrifying power of a nascent soul ancestor. Every move they made was as mighty as the wrath of heaven. At this moment, inside the palace on Immortal Mist Peak, Zhou Sui, Lin Yazhu, Lang Yuexi, and other companions, along with golden core maids like Chen Tao, had heard the demon sound of the nascent soul ancestor outside. Especially people like Chen Tao, they shivered uncontrollably, terrified. Facing the demonic might of the nascent soul ancestor, none was without fear. Even though the golden core realm and the nascent soul realm were only a single rank apart, their power was as different as heaven and earth. A single nascent soul cultivator could slaughter hundreds of golden core cultivators, and with barely any effort at that. They had suspected that the old ancestor Fei Lian would seek revenge sooner or later, but this was too soon. After just one day, the enemy came knocking on their door. The news had been sent to Master Peach Blossom. However, it would take him over 10 days to reach them, which was too late. In contrast to the tremors of Chen Tao and the others, Zhou Sui and his group seemed remarkably calm and composed. The nascent soul ancestor is making his move quicker than I thought. 2 early-stage nascent soul cultivators at that, they must value our Immortal Mist City. Zhou Sui sat cross-legged on the ground, a faint smile on his face. My lord, are we prepared? Lin Yazhu looked anxiously at her husband. With the power of a 4th stage formation plus your power, it should be enough to hold them back. It's about time the world learned how formidable our Immortal Mist City is. Zhou Sui said nonchalantly. Good, then I'll go and face these mighty nascent soul cultivators from Haisha Palace. With these words, Lin Yazhu instantly felt reassured. After all, her husband was an incredibly cautious cultivator. If he was certain, then success was guaranteed. She had recently advanced to the early stage nascent soul and had taken the time to solidify her cultivation. This was the perfect chance to test the extent of her new strength by leveraging the power of these 2 nascent soul demon cultivators. Whoosh! With that, Lin Yazhu's figure flickered and she instantly arrived above Water Spirit Island, directly confronting the 2 nascent soul ancestors. May I know the purpose of you 2 visiting our Immortal Mist City? Lin Yazhu spoke first, looking at Fei Lian and the Fire Cloud ancestor. A nascent soul cultivator. An actual nascent soul cultivator is backing Immortal Mist City. Wasn't it said that the leaders here are just 3 golden core female cultivators? Could it be that you broke through and advanced to the nascent soul realm during this period of time? Fei Lian's brows furrowed as he fixed his gaze on Lin Yazhu, his eyes revealing a trace of apprehension. He had initially thought that this place was just a golden core stronghold. He believed he could bully them at will, even eradicate them completely. But now that a nascent soul cultivator had emerged out of the blue, the situation had drastically changed. That's right, I am Sect Master Lin Yazhu of the King Mu Sect. I had the good fortune to advance to the nascent soul stage recently. Who are you? If you do not reveal your identities, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Yazhu spoke in a calm manner. She didn't intend to conceal anything. After today's battle, her identity as a nascent soul cultivator would be publicly known. Haha, just advanced to the early nascent soul stage and you're already so confident. From your tone, one might think you are some powerful nascent soul late stage cultivator. I am Fei Lian, an old ancestor from Haisha Palace. And this is the Fire Cloud ancestor, of the same place. Truth to be told, we didn't come here to pick a fight. There is a criminal who killed my son, Liu Shiju, hiding here in your Immortal Mist City. If you know what's good for you, hand over the culprit. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. Fei Lian erupted with terrifying mana fluctuations. Turbulent wind and clouds gathered within a radius of 1,000 li, blotting out the sun. His eyes were filled with murderous intent, sending chills down their spine. His hands were stained with the blood of countless beings. This long-standing demon head was truly a menacing sight. Killed your son, Liu Shiju. What I heard was, your son Liu Shiju and his men tried to assassinate the cultivators of our Immortal Mist City. And as a result, were killed by our people. It was your son who was no match for them. And you have the audacity to seek revenge. Aren't you afraid of losing the face of all nascent soul cultivators? Lin Yazue chuckled lightly, looking disdainfully at Fei Lian. Chapter 403. Offering oneself, the exquisite golden core made _1. Shut up. So what if my son was not as skilled as others? That woman shouldn't have killed my son. If my son wished to take lives and steal treasures, the other party should have obediently awaited their death. The audacity to resist resulted in a death sentence. Now she has killed my son, a reprehensible crime, she must pay with her life. Even exterminating her entire lineage wouldn't be excessive. With an angry shout, Fei Lian old ancestor displayed wild dominance and impatience. Truth be told, if he weren't wary of the third class, high-grade formation here, he would have stormed in and taken this woman's head. There'd be no need for so much talk. It's no wonder you demon cultivators of Haisha Palace act so oppressively, treat lives with casual disregard. But let me also tell the Haisha Palace something. None can kill the cultivators of my immortal mist city, should I wish to protect them. Even if the opposing party is a nascent soul cultivator. Lin Yazue scoffed. She too was enraged by the other party's oppressive attitude. An insignificant early-stage nascent soul demon cultivator from Haisha Palace having the audacity to bully her on her turf, they had no idea of their impending doom. Really thought that just because she had recently ascended to the nascent soul realm, she wouldn't be able to handle these two veteran nascent soul cultivators. It seems your intention is to fight me. Fei Lian old ancestor exuded a terrifying aura. In his eyes, he had already offered plenty of face to her, but she had rejected it brazenly, truly taking his civility for granted. Too much talk. Do all of you nascent soul cultivators from Haisha Palace love to talk so much? If things could be talked out, what need would there be for cultivating divine arts? Lin Yazue waved her hand and took out a lower-grade spirit treasure, the gold thunder bamboo, from her body. Originally, the gold thunder bamboo was only at the rank of a top-grade artifact. But after undergoing the heavenly tribulation, its grade had been promoted to a lower-grade spirit treasure. In other words, it had a qualitative improvement. Moreover, as Lin Yazue's cultivation improved, the rank this treasure would also advance further. One could say it was a growing artifact with infinite uses. Boom! In an instant, she wielded the gold thunder bamboo, mobilized the immense nascent soul mana within her body, and waved it lightly. Etherwood Shenlei. Suddenly, countless green Shenleis blasted towards Fei Lian old ancestor like lightning outstripping its thunderous boom, locking onto him. Thunder enveloped 100 miles radius and resounded with a deafening crackle. What? The color drained from Fei Lian old ancestor's face. He didn't expect that this woman would act so unreasonably, delivering a killing blow without a word. Everyone knew that once they had reached the nascent soul realm, these cultivators refrained from using force unless absolutely necessary. After all, as a nascent soul cultivator with a lifespan of 1,000 years, and as a monarch of the marine territories, who would want to risk falling during a magical showdown? For a nascent soul power, losing one nascent soul cultivator was an unbearable loss. For a demonic sect like Haisha Palace with only 20 to 30 nascent souls in their ranks, the death of one nascent soul cultivator would create a power vacuum in several marine territories. Therefore, during peaceful times, nascent soul cultivators treated each other with utmost courtesy and restraint, refraining from any killing intent. Because no one knew what trump cards the other held. All cultivators strong enough to reach the nascent soul stage were formidable, none dared belittle the other. But who could have predicted this woman would be so unreasonable, her murderous intent far eclipsing that of demon cultivators? Fei Lian sword art. But Fei Lian old ancestor wasn't a pushover. Although shocked by his opponent's sudden attack, it would be impossible to get rid of him easily. He immediately drew out a lower-grade spirit treasure sword from his body, the Fei Lian sword. With a light flick, hundreds of black sword chi shot out, tearing the air at an unbelievable speed. Sharp and formidable, they reduced everything in their path to rubble. This was his renowned Fei Lian sword technique. The characteristic of this sword technique was speed, shockingly so, reaching dozens of times the speed of sound. Often with a single strike, opponents wouldn't know when they had been killed, their hearts pierced by the sword. Relying on this sword technique, Fei Lian old ancestor had slaughtered his way through the Kanglan Sea. Clang clang clang! Suddenly, the two forces collided, Etherwood Shenlei and Fei Lian sword chi. It was akin to a meteor crashing into Earth, resulting in a terrifying impact. The sea within hundreds of miles was instantly blasted open, causing boundless waves to surge. Fortunately, they were battling over the sea. If they were fighting on an island, the force would destroy everything within thousands of miles, leveling many mountain ranges. All cultivators present in Immortal Mist City felt their hair stand on end, their bodies trembling. Even though they were situated within the city, protected by formations, they still felt this terrifying pressure of a nascent soul. Even the aftermath seemed capable of reducing them to ashes. It seemed as if the entire island was shaking, experiencing a minor earthquake. What? The color changed drastically on Feilian Old Ancestor's face. Even though the previous attack seemed equally matched, he had actually suffered a slight loss. He sensed the force of several etherwood shenlays penetrating his flying sword before entering his body, causing a paralyzing electric shock throughout his body. It felt as if countless electric currents were flowing through his meridians. Chapter 404. Offering oneself, the exquisite golden core made _2. His internal organs suffered minor injuries. Apparently, the power of this lower-grade spirit treasure, the gold thunder bamboo, was not to be underestimated. More importantly, it was specially designed to counteract all kinds of demon cultivators and evil cultivators. Especially for demon cultivators like him, who committed murder wantonly, it exuded a restraining aura. If the fight continued, he would surely be at a great disadvantage. Just recently advancing to the early stage nascent soul realm, yet possessing such strength. Just how solid are the foundations of this female cultivator? Feilian Ancestor's face turned extremely unpleasant. He himself was a nascent soul cultivator who had cultivated for hundreds of years. Even though his cultivation status was only in the early stage nascent soul realm, he was not comparable to a newly advanced nascent soul cultivator. But after a round of competition, he realized that the nascent soul female cultivator in front of him was not easy to provoke. If he let his guard down for a moment, he might capsize in the gutter. Fire Cloud Ancestor, let's attack together and get this beast. There's something not simple about this woman, she must be hiding a big secret. Otherwise, as a loose cultivator, advancing to the nascent soul is absolutely impossible. At this moment, Feilian Old Ancestor used divine consciousness transmission. He wanted to join forces with his companion, Fire Cloud Ancestor, to fight against Lin Yazhu. This wouldn't be right, after all, you're competing. Don't you feel somewhat guilty about ganging up on one person? Fire Cloud Ancestor laughed heartlessly. Foolish, we're demon cultivators, isn't outnumbering our enemies our way? No, if we outnumber then wait for others to gather and gang up on us. Enough chatter, kill this female cultivator, I only want 30% of the treasures on her, 70% are yours. Feilian Old Ancestor surely knew by now, it was obvious that the other party was greedy and wanted to get a bigger cut of the profit. But the situation was already like this, there was no time to consider so much, they had to deal with this nascent soul female cultivator first. Feilian Ancestor, indeed you are straightforward. In fact, I also wanted to deal with this broad early. How dare a nascent soul female cultivator challenge our Haisha Palace, she truly didn't know the difference between life and death. Fire Cloud Ancestor was laughing heartily. He immediately took out a lower-grade spirit treasure, the Demon Fire Ring, from his body. The lower-grade spirit treasure of this Demon Fire Ring had limitless power, capable of releasing terrifying demon fire. Once it burned on other cultivators, it was almost impossible to extinguish. He once used this lower-grade spirit treasure to burn an entire island, killing countless beings. Boom! Instantly, he held the lower-grade spirit treasure Demon Fire Ring in his hand and immediately launched an attack on Lin Yazhu. The terrifying black flames seemed to transform into black snakes, charging fiercely. The surrounding area of several hundred miles was enveloped by endless demon fire, causing the sea to boil and emit steam, forming a vast fog. How despicable, the two major nascent souls joined forces. Is this the way the demon cultivators of Haisha Palace do things? Lin Yazhu faintly watched Fire Cloud Ancestor's action, she had predicted it earlier as she would not be so naive to think that the other party would really have a fair competition with her. This kind of demon cultivator, once they were at a disadvantage, they would resort to all means. In an instant, she once again activated Gold Thunder Bamboo, a green light was stimulated immediately, automatically forming a massive green spiritual light shield around her body. Etherwood Divine Light Shield. This was another new ability Gold Thunder Bamboo acquired after being promoted to a lower grade spirit treasure, capable of forming a defense shield, resistant to enemy attacks. It was truly a spiritual treasure of endless utility providing both attack and defense. It could be said that this defensive light shield was much more robust than the defense light shield of the average nascent soul cultivator. Because it contained the power of ether wood, it was unending. Even if it were destroyed by an enemy for a time, it would recover quickly. Boom! At this moment, the power of Fire Cloud Ancestor's demon fire exploded against the etherwood divine light shield, causing sparks and an unparalleled impact force, causing the surrounding sea to burst into waves. Even so, this force was still unable to penetrate the etherwood divine light shield and was easily blocked. This spiritual treasure is actually both offensive and defensive. And it can withstand my demon fire ring. Its defense is not simple. After killing this female cultivator, I want this spiritual treasure. Fire Cloud Ancestor's eyes showed a greedy light. He wanted to obtain this lower grade spirit treasure immediately. If he could get this lower grade spirit treasure, he would simply rise above the rest with soaring strength. Let's talk about it after we kill this female cultivator. Feilian Ancestor was also jealous. Naturally, he did not want to give up getting this lower grade spirit treasure. But now, nothing was settled yet. It was not suitable to discuss how to distribute the treasure with his partner. They would discuss how to distribute the spoils after taking out this nascent soul female cultivator. With this thought, he held up his Feilian sword, immediately intending to join forces with Fire Cloud Ancestor to attack Lin Yazoo. Enough, I don't want to continue playing games with you. You all should stay here. Lin Yazoo stared indifferently at Fire Cloud Ancestor and Feilian Ancestor. What? Hearing this, Fire Cloud Ancestor and Feilian Ancestor almost burst into laughter. This woman was clearly crazy, saying that she didn't want to play with them anymore. It was obvious that they were the ones dominating with superior numbers. How on earth did the woman make it sound like she was the one with the upper hand? Boom! But before they could say something, a terrifying large formation suddenly rose in the entire Tri-Star Island Group region spanning 200,000 miles. A massive array barrier enveloped this maritime zone. Chapter 405. Offering oneself, the exquisite golden core made _3. Like a giant ball of light, the stretch of the sea was transformed into an absolute cage. Boundless heavy water boundaries also sprang up around this stretch of the sea. From afar, it looked like water curtains falling from the sky, completely isolating this part of the sea. No one was allowed to enter, nor was anyone allowed to leave. An invisible pressure covered every corner of the sea area, permeating with a horrifying air of dominance. 4th stage high-quality Great Array Xianyan Heavy Water Array. At that moment, under the control of Zhou Sui, it finally appeared before the world. Damn it, a 4th order formation. There's a hidden 4th order formation, hey. Witnessing this, the venerable Feilian lost his nascent soul cultivator's decorum and couldn't help but curse out loud. He was utterly shaken internally, rivaled by violent waves of astonishment and tremor. He had never anticipated, in his wildest dreams, that an unremarkable sea area would have such a 4th order formation. Originally it was like a trap for sheep, but they had walked into a tiger's den. Nothing could be more ridiculous than this. What's the joke? There's no sign here indicating the presence of a 4th order spirit vein. How could there be a 4th order array? Fire Cloud Ancestor was finding it hard to believe. To be honest, setting up an array that was 3rd order or above was not a simple task. It had to be customized according to the locale. Moreover, it would require the power of spirit veins to set up any major array. That's why initially they didn't believe there was a 4th order formation here and acted boldly without any fear. But now, out of nowhere, a 4th order formation had ensued, which was absolutely inconceivable. That's right, there are remnants of divinity transformation near. It used to be the old site of the Kurong sect. So, it's not unimaginable that this sea area hides a 4th order spirit vein. No wonder this woman managed to advance nascent soul smoothly. It seems she made use of the 4th order spirit vein here, right? A tinge of regret was evident on the face of the venerable Feilian. He knew that every nascent soul cultivator was utterly extraordinary. In particular, the loose cultivator with the nascent soul, was even more terrifying than them, the sect nascent soul cultivators. That's because the ordinary aptitude of these loose cultivators couldn't compete with those sect cultivators. Besides, their resources couldn't possibly surpass those of a nascent soul sect. Nevertheless, despite all these, they could still overcome all the obstacles, ascending to the nascent soul. Just imagine, what sort of methods these loose cultivators with the nascent soul had. Often, dealing with loose cultivators with the nascent soul was far more challenging than dealing with sect nascent soul cultivators. Every one of these loose cultivators with the nascent soul that had fought out of fields of carnage was utterly ruthless and cruel. They were even more terrifying than their demon nascent soul cultivators. Run! Fire Cloud Ancestor immediately sent a divine consciousness transmission. He was already contemplating retreat. If the Fourth Order formation had not appeared before, he, combined with Venerable Failien, would have had an opportunity to slay this female nascent soul cultivator. However, now, the chance was utterly gone. The assistance that a Fourth Order formation could provide to nascent soul cultivators was tremendous. As the nascent soul cultivators could leverage the power of the Fourth Order spirit vein indefinitely, their mana would be unlimited. So tell me, how could nascent soul cultivators compete against that? Even if they could perseverate, they would end up with completely drained mana. They would almost certainly die, there was simply no chance of victory. Whoosh! In an instant, the bodies of the Venerable Failien and Fire Cloud Ancestor flickered as they turned into a light of escape, trying to flee from this place immediately, without planning any confrontation with Lin Yazhu. They were making such a decision promptly. Utterly without any delay. Pity though, staying within the Great Formation, they were destined not to be able to escape easily. Boom! At the flicking of a thought, Zhou Sui immediately manipulated the Xianyan heavy water array. A formless wall of void appeared instantly beside the Venerable Failien and Fire Cloud Ancestor. In a flash, the two of them were thrown hard onto an invisible barrier, involuntarily halting their movement. They revealed their true form, and with their heads injured and bleeding, it seemed they had suffered some damage. Damn it, do you really plan to make enemies with us of the Haisha Palace? The Venerable Failien grimly looked at Lin Yazhu, presuming it was her operating the formation to prevent their escape. At that moment, they understood the dreadfulness of a Fourth Order formation. Even the light of escape technique of the nascent soul cultivators was incapable of breaching 2 levels of the boundary. They were easily blocked. Fools! Lin Yazhu rolled her eyes. At this point, there was no reason to fear the Haisha Palace. Let alone whether the Haisha Palace would take vengeance for them or not. Even if they did seek revenge, with the protection of this Fourth Order formation, there wouldn't be any fear. That was why a Fourth Order or above formation was considered the foundation of all eternity. With such a formation in place, at the minimum, it could ensure the legacy of a nascent soul power for tens of thousands of years. Kill! At that moment, Zhou Sui and the array Heart Gu became one in divine consciousness. He felt as though his soul had merged into the Fourth Order high-quality formation, and he himself had turned into this formation. Right away, he realized why the Fourth Order formation was immensely potent. It was because it could not only bring up the double boundaries but could also easily manipulate the natural spiritual energy. Add to that, the endless natural spiritual energy of the Fourth Order high-quality spirit vein. From a basic standpoint, he was essentially a big cultivator in the late stage of the nascent soul. And, he was the one with unlimited magic power. Even achieving invincibility only within the formation was completely sufficient. Thud! In an instant, Zhou Sui flicked a thought and immediately maneuvered the Xianyan heavy water array, attacking towards the Venerable Failien and Fire Cloud Ancestor. Chapter 406. Offering oneself, the exquisite golden core made _4. The Sword of Obsidian Yin. Suddenly, within the Seventh Order formation, an infinite amount of Obsidian Yin Qi converged, taking the form of swathes of sword lights, a terrifying array covering the sky and obscuring the earth, in their thousands and tens of thousands. Each Obsidian Yin sword light contained an ominous power of frigid ice, freezing everything in their path. Each strike paralleled the attack of a nascent soul late-stage cultivator. You wish to kill me, it is not that easy. Failien Sword Array. Feeling the formidable Obsidian Yin sword light, the expression of the Failien ancestor drastically changed, he felt a major threat and would definitely not sit idly by waiting for his death. Waving his hand, several flying swords flew out from his body. Many flying swords converged, forming a huge sword array. Suddenly, many sword lights burst out from the sword array, forming a rain of swords in the sky, which collided with the falling Obsidian Yin sword light from the sky above. Fire cloud engulfs the sky. The Fire Cloud Ancestor was not willing to show weakness either, holding the lower grade spirit treasure, the Demon Fire Ring, with his body as the center, was as if transformed into a boundless black sea of fire, creating black flame clouds. Innumerable black flame clouds bombarded, covering hundreds of miles around. Wherever it went, it burned everything. If it was on the island, it would be enough to turn thousands of miles into a scorched earth. Even if they were in the ocean, the endless black flames seemed to turn this sea area into flames, forming magma. Those cultivators in Immortal Mist City felt this terrifying heat as if temperatures had reached hundreds of degrees. The walls and buildings of the entire Immortal Mist City seemed to show signs of being melted and burned. Boom! These two forces collided in an instant, bursting a terrifying wave of mana. The seabed for thousands of miles around was blowing up, constantly rumbling. It was a roiling sea. With a swoosh, both Fire Cloud Ancestor and Phalian Ancestor could not resist this power. They were repelled by the countless Obsidian Yin sword light, retreating tens of miles. The terrifying Obsidian Yin cold chi permeated their defense magic treasures and reached their bodies directly. Only within the time of one breath, their bodies, eyebrows, ears, mouths, and other parts were all covered with frost. Even the meridians in their bodies were invaded by the Obsidian Yin chi. Yuan Yi heavy water. However, Zhou Sui was not planning to let them go so easily, once again mobilizing the power of the fourth stage Grand Array. Splash! In the sky above, dark clouds filled the sky, countless raindrops converged, covered thousands of miles, overshadowing the sun. The next second, droplets of water fell from mid-air, bombarding towards Fire Cloud Ancestor and Phalian Ancestor. Remember, that this is no ordinary water, but the Yuan Yi heavy water. This is one of the miraculous waters of heaven and earth. Each droplet of Yuan Yi heavy water is as heavy as a mountain, invincible. If it hits a person's body, it is as if being hit by mountains. Thousands of Yuan Yi heavy water droplets fall, which is equivalent to thousands of mountains falling. Its power is boundlessly terrifying. If it becomes a flood, it can destroy everything, just like a doomsday flood. Not good. The complexion of Fire Cloud Ancestor and Phalian Ancestor changed drastically, their faces were as pale as ash. This attack was even more terrifying than the previous Obsidian Yin sword light. The range was simply too large, there was nowhere to hide, nowhere to dodge. They could only stay in the downpour and resist this attack hard. Boom! Just one hit, thousands of Yuan Yi heavy water droplets fell and hit their bodies, instantly smashing their defensive magic treasures to pieces. The terrifying impact destroyed all kinds of defensive skills on their bodies. Only within the time of one breath, the Fire Cloud Ancestor and Phalian Ancestor were brutally smashed to death. The whole body was smashed into a pile of minced meat, with no trace of bones left. Even if they wanted to escape with their nascent souls, they couldn't do it. Can it be, two early-stage nascent soul demon cultivators were killed just like that? Lin Yezhu was shocked beyond words when she saw this scene. To be honest, she barely made any effort, she just casually exchanged a few moves with the opponent. The main force was still her husband, Zhou Sui. Secretly controlling the high-rank fourth stage formation, the Great Array Xianyan Heavy Water Array, with the power of the formation, killed two early-stage nascent soul cultivators. Such a method was simply inconceivable. Worthy of being my husband, is this the power of the fourth stage array master? No wonder the fourth stage formation can compete with nascent soul ancestor. With the power of the fourth stage array, even if a nascent soul ancestor steps into the formation, he will perish. Lin Yezhu was full of emotion. She felt more and more that in the 100 arts of cultivation, there was no skill that was useless, each one had infinite wonderful uses. Although formation ranks last among the 4 arts of cultivation, it was the only ability that allows cultivators to challenge across levels. With the power of a formation, even a golden core can fight a nascent soul. Husband, we won. Lin Yezhu was very delighted. Undoubtedly, after this battle, the Tri-Star Island group would undoubtedly shock the entire Wuji Alliance. All Wuji Alliance cultivators will know the result of this battle. From then on, it is highly likely that no nascent soul cultivator will dare to cause trouble here. Don't let your guard down, although they are churning into minced meat, who knows whether they are completely dead. We must turn them into ash to kill them 100%. Zhou Sui communicated through his divine consciousness transmission, reminding his Dao companion to still be cautious. Chapter 407. Offering oneself, the exquisite golden core made _5. After all, these nascent soul ancestors were seasoned and crafty due to their advanced years. Who knew if they would leave behind any tricky traps? They had to be 100% sure of their complete deaths before they could rest easy. All right. Hearing this, the expression on Lin Yazhu's face became strange. Her own husband was so cautious it was alarming. Even when they clearly had the upper hand, he wouldn't let down his guard. She didn't think it was necessary. They'd been reduced to minced meat, could they really still be alive? But, she still followed her husband's instructions, holding the gold thunder bamboo and attacking those 2 batches of minced meat. Boom boom! Immediately, a series of etherwood Shenli bombarded them, releasing a terrifying power. Despicable person, even in death, you want us to be crushed to dust. Just at that moment, the 2 lumps of minced meat let out horrible screams, it seemed as though their souls were attached to them. Clearly, just as Zhou Sui had anticipated, the Fire Cloud Ancestor and the Flying Lian Ancestor were treacherously cunning. Even if their bodies were blown to smithereens, they still managed to survive. Regrettably, confronted with the Etherwood Shenli, which was designed to control various sorts of evil, they didn't have any ability to resist. Boom! In an instant, the 2 clumps of minced meat immediately turned into ash. 2 souls were hit by the Etherwood Shenli and transformed into strands of blue smoke, completely dissipating in the world. They really didn't die. Lin Yazhu was stunned. She had initially thought her husband was overly cautious. Who could have anticipated that these 2 nascent soul demon cultivators could actually possess a way to survive? If they had been careless for an instant, they might have truly let them escape, enabling them to occupy new bodies to create a second life. What a pity that her own husband was too cautious and wouldn't miss any opportunities. Even if these 2 great nascent soul demon cultivators were extraordinarily cunning, it was to no avail and they could only face defeat here. Right, now they're finally dead. They even wanted to ambush us, no chance. Zhou Sui was very satisfied. Because, he had very early on used the power of the Dream Soul Gu to sense the souls of these 2 nascent soul demon cultivators, knowing that they had dodged a bullet and their souls hadn't completely disintegrated. If they had rashly approached, they might have fallen into the enemy's trap. The Fire Cloud Ancestor and the Flying Lian Ancestors wanting to ambush him, was simply too naive. Boom! Immediately, Zhou Sui moved his consciousness, directly urging the power of the Dream Soul Gu. He devoured the shattered souls of the 2 demon cultivators and then the Dream Soul Gu obtained large amounts of a nascent soul cultivator's memories. So that's it, these 2 fellows were from the vanguard of Haisha Palace. Actually, they had long been lying in ambush in the Wuji Alliance's sea area, waiting to give the Wuji Alliance a fatal blow. Unfortunately, the divinity transformation relics emerged unexpectedly, and they couldn't handle dealing with the Wuji Alliance. Each of them wanted to come and get involved, wanting to obtain the treasures of the divinity transformation. But they actually wanted to come and deal with me, so that is to court death. Zhou Sui was very satisfied. They could learn from the memories of the Fire Cloud Ancestor and the Flying Lian Ancestors that the Haisha Palace's headquarters were far away from the Wuji Alliance. Even if they desired revenge, they would have needed to mobilize resources from their headquarters. The issue was, this was in the Wuji Alliance's sea area. If the numbers were too small, it wouldn't pose trouble to him. If too many were dispatched, they might face trouble at their own headquarters. So, this time, Haisha Palace could only swallow their anger. However, this was common, the Haisha Palace, like the other demon cultivator sects, often found themselves in such predicaments. This wasn't the first time. Let's go, retrieve the storage bags of the 2 nascent soul cultivators and then return. Zhou Sui sent a divine consciousness transmission. All right. Hearing this, Lin Yazhu nodded her head, waved her hand, and acquired the storage bags of the 2 nascent soul cultivators, and numerous spiritual treasures, then flew back towards the immortal mist peak. The Fourth Order formation that originally covered the entire Tri-Star Island group also immediately disappeared. It was as if nothing had happened here before. However, this matter caused an uproar in the entire Immortal Mist City and even the entire Tri-Star Island group. Especially for the cultivators of the 3 sects, they were overjoyed. No way, Sect Master Lin actually advanced to Nascent Soul, becoming an early-stage Nascent Soul cultivator. Our King Mu sect has just become a Nascent Soul sect. One King Mu sect foundation establishment elder widened his eyes, he was ecstatic. Is there a need to ask? Didn't you see how formidable the master of the sect was just now? That was Haisha Palace's 2 great nascent soul demon cultivators. One was the Flying Lian Ancestor and the other was the Fire Cloud Ancestor, they both have an infamous reputation. But what about now? Didn't they still die at the hands of our sect master? If this is not the work of a nascent soul cultivator, then who is a nascent soul cultivator? Another King Mu sect foundation establishment elder laughed heartily, he was beside himself with joy. Without a doubt, from now on, the status of the King Mu sect would increase exponentially. After all, it's a nascent soul ancestor. Even within the Wuji Alliance, the nascent soul ancestor held a crucial position. No matter which nascent soul power, they will strive to ally with, and not give up. Haha, based on my aptitude, it was absolutely impossible to join a nascent soul sect. Who could have thought that without making any effort, my sect itself became a nascent soul sect? Now I can swagger around this sea area. Who dares to bully an inner sect disciple of a nascent soul sect? All the King Mu sect disciples were beside themselves with joy. Most of them were the misfits of this sea area, average people with average aptitude, desiring to join a nascent soul sect. Chapter 408. Offering herself, the incomparably beautiful golden core maid _6. It's like a daydreamer's tale. Who would have thought that their sect master has ascended to nascent soul? Looking at the sect master's lifespan, they should be able to survive at least 1,000 years. That is to say, King Mu's sect would exist for at least a millennium. No way, if the King Mu sect's sect master has advanced to the nascent soul, then what about our Danding sect, an immortal mist sect? We're all one family, there's no need to distinguish between us. Exactly, even if she has truly reached nascent soul, sect master Lin is still Elder Zhou's Dao companion. Bloody hell, Elder Zhou is defying the heavens. Is it really the fate of having a flourishing wife? It seems that all the female cultivators following Elder Zhou are advancing one by one. This is truly inconceivable. Isn't it? Initially, the chance of sect master Lin advancing to the nascent soul was slim, but after following Elder Zhou, her cultivation has skyrocketed, and now she has even advanced to the nascent soul. If that's the case, doesn't it mean that even sect masters Shen and Leng have a chance to ascend to nascent soul? By then, our immortal mist city will have 3 nascent soul female cultivators, and we can strut around. The many cultivators of immortal mist city were discussing intensely, utterly shocked. They knew that from today on, the sky of the Tri-Star Island group would be forever changed. It's not just the cultivators of the 3 sects who were shocked, of course. Pretty much all loose cultivators within immortal mist city felt even more astounded. This was simply unbelievable. No way, has immortal mist city really produced a nascent soul ancestor? This is simply too exaggerated. So from now on, immortal mist city has become a nascent soul force. There are only 20 or 30 nascent souls in the entire Wuji alliance. Each nascent soul is the overlord of a sea area, ruling over tens of millions of kilometers of sea area. Moreover, Sect Master Lin is not simply an ordinary nascent soul cultivator. She personally took action and killed the Fire Cloud ancestor and Master Fei Lian. This is not something an early-stage nascent soul cultivator can compare to. From now on, Immortal Mist City will probably be as secure as a rock, no one dares to provoke it. The loose cultivators all started discussing. Especially those cultivators with ulterior motives, their faces drastically changed. Truth be told, they have had evil thoughts about Immortal Mist City, they even plotted to gather accomplices to rob Immortal Mist City. After all, Immortal Mist City is too affluent. The amount of spirit stone earned annually is truly staggering, enough to make any golden core cultivator envious. Now that they see this, they are glad they didn't act. If a nascent soul cultivator were to find out about it, their deaths would be certain. A single nascent soul can suppress this sea area for 1,000 years. This is nothing short of a living legend. After this battle, no force would dare to covet the Immortal Mist City. Each of them has now dropped their petty schemes. At this moment, at Immortal Mist Peak, people like Lang Yuexi, Shen Baiqian, and Ji Binjaihu also witnessed this scene, and they were all very shocked. They had never expected that the 2 nascent soul cultivators would be dealt with so easily. It was truly unimaginable. My dear, is this the power of a 4th stage array? It's so strong. Xia Jinjian's eyes showed a hint of excitement. As a formation master, of course, she understood how terrifying a 4th stage array can be. This is considered the highest level of array in the Kanglan Sea area at this time. Any formation master who masters the 4th stage array, their strength and status are comparable to a nascent soul ancestor. But she has never seen the formidable power of the 4th stage array in person. Now seeing it, she was absolutely enlightened. Indeed, becoming a formation master has unlimited prospects and allows one to challenge cultivators beyond their own level. That's right, this is the 4th stage top-grade array Xianyan Heavy Water Array. This is a dual barrier array that combines the defensive array and the killing array, with infinite power. It could be said that if this formation's power is fully utilized, it's no less than any large cultivators at the nascent soul late stage. With this array, we can sleep soundly. Zhou Sui said in admiration. This was his first test of this 4th stage top-grade array, and its power was indeed as he had anticipated. Using only a fraction of its power, it killed 2 nascent soul cultivators. This was enough to show how extraordinary this Xianyan heavy water array was. Of course, the key was also the help of array heartgu. If only a golden core cultivator manipulated the array, this power would not be possible. But with the array heartgu, it was equivalent to breeding a formation spirit in this 4th stage array. With the power of the formation spirit, the full power of this array could be exerted. No wonder my dear wanted to construct this 4th stage array. And we didn't waste all those resources. Now as you see, it's all worth it. With this top-grade 4th stage array, even if all the cultivators of Haisha Palace were to converge on us, they would not be able to harm us. Shen Baiqian was overjoyed. She felt that they finally established footholds in the Kanglan Sea. This formation will guarantee the foundation of the immortal Mist City for thousands of years. It can be described as a foundation that lasts forever. Thank you, young Master Zhou. The 4 golden core maids, Chun Tao, Xia Tao, Kai Hu Dao, and Dong Tao, expressed their gratitude with their beautiful eyes. They couldn't believe that the man in front of them was actually capable of killing 2 nascent soul cultivators from the Haisha Palace. Strength of such magnitude was absolutely terrifying. Even though Zhou Sui is not yet a nascent soul cultivator. But with his proficiency as a 4th stage array master, his status is no less than that of a nascent soul cultivator. Once word of this gets out, he will definitely become a key figure in the Wuji alliance. The island master certainly has an eye for talent. Fortunately, they had their eyes on the right man before Zhou Sui had advanced to the nascent soul realm. If they had waited for him to ascend to the nascent soul realm before making their move, it wouldn't have been so easy to gain his attention. The way they looked at Zhou Sui immediately turned tender. Women in the world of cultivation naturally admire the strong. Although they already had a positive impression of Zhou Sui, his life-saving grace made them even more moved. You don't have to be so polite, it was just a gesture of goodwill. Since you've joined the immortal Mist City and are now my maids, you're considered as family. Unless someone dares to step over my dead body, they wouldn't dare to bully you. Zhou Sui replied righteously. The words spoken by Zhou Sui increased the affection of Chun Tao, Xia Tao, Kai Hu Dao, and Dong Tao. They were so touched that they could hardly speak. But after exchanging glances with each other, they seemed to have made a significant decision. In the middle of the night, Zhou Sui was practicing cultivation in a quiet room, seated cross-legged on the floor. The immense nature's spiritual energy from around him surged into his body, constantly boosting his golden core cultivation power. He seemed to be getting closer and closer to the late golden core stage. Perhaps it would take about 10 years for him to break through to the late golden core stage. This speed of cultivation was relatively fast. Even a heavenly spirit root cultivator may not have such a quick cultivation efficiency. Knock, knock, knock. At this moment, someone knocked on the door of the room. Come in. Zhou Sui opened his eyes, waved his hand to open the door. Then, Chun Tao, Xia Tao, Kai Hu Dao, and Dong Tao walked in. Each of them was dressed in a black gauze dress, exposing their long legs and curvy figures, which were irresistible. Without a doubt, these quadruplet sisters were indeed born beauties. At a glance, they were lovely and tender. What can I do for you? Zhou Sui asked. Young Master Zhou, we want to thank you for saving my sister Chun Tao's life. As we sisters have nothing we could offer you in return, all we could do is to offer ourselves. Perhaps, we could help young Master Zhou to break through his cultivation with our yin force. We hope young Master Zhou may not detest our homely modesty. Xia Tao was looking tenderly at Zhou Sui, having obviously made up her mind. This was a decision made by all 4 sisters. Regardless, they had already been given to the man in front of them by the island master. Making such a decision was only a matter of time. Better sooner than later. So for this reason, in order to solidify their relationship, they didn't care about much else. You girls really don't have to do this. Zhou Sui blinked, still trying to act like a gentleman. Young Master Zhou, stop talking. Have me. Before he could say anything more, the doors of room were closed by the 4 sisters. Soon, worship of week ceremony began in the quiet room. Chapter 409. Advancing to the late golden core, great increase in cultivation _1. Early the next day, in his quiet chamber. You have attained the massive union energy from your Dao companion, elevating your cultivation to the realm of the late golden core. You have gained a portion of the cultivation experience from the Golden Core realm. Your spiritual root has been enhanced at some level. Having felt an immense amount of love, the Obsession Goo is quite pleased, its power also has been moderately enhanced. The Obsession Goo's rank has increased, advancing to the realm of a third-class high-grade insect. Likewise, your charm has also increased. At that moment, Zhou Sui opened his eyes. He could feel an enormous amount of Golden Core cultivation power filling up his body, flowing like a river through his veins and every A-cup ointment. Compared to the previous night, the amount of Golden Core cultivation power in his body had more than doubled. Undoubtedly, his cultivation had indeed made a huge breakthrough, advancing to the realm of the late Golden Core. Even the size of the Golden Core inside his body had become twice as large as before. This Golden Core released a golden light, as bright and magnificent as the sun. He felt flooded with enormous power, as though a gentle punch could cause a terrifying amount of destruction. Obviously, this promotion didn't just enhance his internal cultivation power. His physical constitution had also been greatly refined by the immense Golden Core cultivation power, making his body even stronger. It wouldn't take long for the next evolution of his dragon elephant bloodline to take place. So, I've already advanced to the late Golden Core. Sure enough, I needed the help of my Dao companion. A good Dao companion can save dozens of years of hard cultivation. There are many benefits. Zhou Sui blinked, he couldn't use any words to describe his current mood. You could say that it was simply exhilarating. Originally, he would have to cultivate hard for at least 10 years, just for the possibility of breaking through to the late Golden Core realm. Maybe even longer. After all, he might be stuck at this bottleneck for a long time, unable to break through. But now, after receiving this pure union energy, this massive energy had instantly broken through the bottleneck of the middle Golden Core stage, as naturally as water flowing into a canal. This union energy could be compared with a 1,000-year-old spiritual medicine, or even a 10,000-year-old spiritual medicine. It had undoubtedly saved him countless years of hard cultivation, promoting him to the late Golden Core stage all at once. And this pure yin energy has not been completely absorbed yet. If it were to be completely absorbed, his internal cultivation power would undoubtedly advance even further. It's fair to say that as long as he continues to cultivate step by step, he will quickly advance to the Golden Core completion realm. By that time, he can form his nascent soul. Not bad, there are no impurities in the Golden Core cultivation power inside me, it's still incredibly pure. As expected of a female cultivator in the Golden Core stage, their internal cultivation power is really pure. If I had gotten this earlier, I might have advanced to the late Golden Core stage sooner. Zhou Sui circulated his Insect God Sutra. Strands of Golden Core cultivation power flowed through his meridians. Every time his cultivating power circulated for a full circle, his internal energy became stronger, and his strength steeply increased. He felt slightly regretful, as his progress was still a little slow. If his progress had been faster, he wouldn't have had to cultivate this hard, this long. But such things can't be rushed. Just like cooking, haste leads to waste. If it proceeds too quickly, it could lead to a less tasteful dish. It is the same principle. Even if one is infected with obsession goo, they still need to wait until the degree of fondness is raised to 100% before one can truly benefit. Otherwise, there will be more or fewer defects. Only when things proceed naturally like this, can the benefits be maximized. He has been through this before, so naturally he wouldn't be in such a hurry. Moreover, it's not too late to break through now. Compared to other Golden Core cultivators, his speed has undoubtedly increased manifold. Not only my cultivation power, but even my divine sense has been enhanced more than twice over. Zhou Sui's thought moved, sensing the increase in his divine sense. His divine sense expanded unstoppably, covering the surrounding mountains. Previously, his divine sense could only cover an area of just 200 to 300 miles, but now, it had instantly extended to 800 miles. This was a truly astonishing range for his divine sense. The range was comparable to that of a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. If his heart eye power was added, his sense could cover a distance of 8,000 miles. Such data was truly terrifying. Clearly, after advancing to the late Golden Core, his cultivation and combat power have undergone a qualitative leap. Right, let's check the data on the virtual panel. With that thought, Zhou Sui immediately opened his virtual panel. Host, Zhou Sui, Cultivation, Late Golden Core, Progress, 1%, Lifespan, 85, 8,000 years old. Aptitude, 4th grade spiritual root, 40%. Swordsmanship, 3rd stage, middle grade, 95%. Rune, 3rd stage, middle grade, 40%. 7th order formation, 4th stage, high grade, 99%. Pill master, 3rd stage, high grade, 40%. Phantasma transformation skill, grandmaster, 10%. 5 elements alchemy technique, grandmaster, 80%. Illusory demon heart method, demon seed, summon demon. 7 apertures spirit secret, heart eye recognition, heart eye perception, heart eye linguistics. Soul dispersing stinger, great achievement, fireball technique, grandmaster, wind blade art, grandmaster, golden light skill, grandmaster, ice frost skill, grandmaster, spring wind rain skill, grandmaster, lightning summoning skill, grandmaster. Obsession goo, 4th stage, high grade, clone goo, 3rd stage, high grade, wine bug, 3rd stage, high grade, gold eating bug, 3rd stage, high grade, bookworm, 3rd stage, high grade, dream soul goo, 4th stage, lower grade, dragon elephant goo, 3rd stage, high grade, golden light thousand poison goo, 3rd stage, high grade, teleportation insect, 3rd stage, high grade, array heart goo, 4th stage, high grade, object searching goo, 3rd stage, high grade, robbery thunderworm, 3rd stage, high grade. Chapter 410. Advancing to the late golden core, great increase in cultivation _2. Indeed, my lifespan has also been extended. Zhou Sui touched his chin, feeling very satisfied instantaneously. Clearly, advancing to the late golden core phase, he had also broken through his own lifespan limit. This pushed his lifespan to 8,000 years. A lifespan like this was something not even God transformation cultivators could possess. If he were to stay in the human world, who knows how many dynasties he could witness. In a sense, he was the living fossil of the cultivation world, even representing the history of it. The benefits that come with a long life are simply imaginable. He felt a boundless vitality within himself. Although he may seem to be 85 years old in the mundane world, the age of an old man. But compared to his 8,000 years lifespan, he is actually just a child. A long life has just begun. The power of all major goo insects has also increased. Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes. The 12 goo insects on his body had also been enhanced as his cultivation increased. They all ascended a class, breaking into the realm of 3rd class, high grade, and their strength had undergone earth-shaking changes. However, the greatest enhancement in strength is the Dream Soul Goo, which has reached the realm of the 4th stage lower class. Such power is comparable to early stage nascent soul cultivators. What kind of power does the 4th class, lower grade Dream Soul Goo possess? Thinking of this, Zhou Sui was extremely curious. He calmed his mind and immediately communicated with the Dream Soul Goo. At this moment, the Dream Soul Goo's body underwent drastic changes. Its body revealed a transparent shape with 7 colors illuminated inside. In the depths, there seemed to be colorful dream bubbles emerging. It was as if its body itself was a convergence of countless dream realms, a massive dream world in itself. Its body was pervaded with bursts of dreamy aura, as if existing between reality and fantasy. Boom! A huge message instantly passed from the Dream Soul Goo to the depths of his sea of consciousness. At this moment, he instantly understood the tremendous power of the Dream Soul Goo after advancing to the 4th class lower grade. Dream Realm. It has actually manifested the power of the Dream Realm. Zhou Sui's eyes widened, his heart set off a storm. Even though he already knew that the upgrade of Dream Soul Goo to the 4th stage was no simple matter, and was vastly different from before, he still did not expect the power of Dream Soul Goo to evolve from Dream Region to the power of the Dream Realm. Frankly speaking, the power of the Dream Region is just a realm of a dream sequence. Essentially, it's just an illusion technique with a wider coverage. If the opponent is proficient in pupil skills, or has superior soul power, they could see through the Dream Region, easily escaping from the Dream Region. In previous battles with enemies, he felt a slight weakness in Dream Soul Goo's power. It seemed as if, to enemies proficient in illusion technique, Dream Soul Goo's strength was beginning to fall just a bit short. But now, after ascending to the 4th stage, lower grade, Dream Soul Goo's power underwent earth-shattering changes, giving birth to the power of the Dream Realm. The so-called Dream Realm is essentially forming a dream world. This power is more than 100 times stronger than the power of the dream region. If one is within the dream region, using pupil skills, they can see through illusions. But if one is trapped in the dream realm, even if they use pupil skills and see through the illusions, they cannot break free. Unless the opponent's soul power is strong enough to surpass the master of the dream realm. Otherwise, they could only be eternally imprisoned in the dream realm. This is the fearfulness of the power of the dream realm. Compared to before, the increase in strength was simply too great. The power of the dream realm is somewhat similar to a portable fourth-order formation. Once released, it can trap the enemy within this domain. Unless they destroy the dream realm, they wouldn't be able to break free. Even if they cannot see through the illusion of the dream realm, they will eternally sink. Is this the strength of the fourth-class dream soul Gu? It's incredibly strong. Zhou Sui was in awe. No wonder this was a heavenly earthly strange insect born within the dreamland. The power it commanded was far from simple as imagined. With the increase in cultivation, its peculiarities gradually emerged. This power alone enables the dream soul Gu to face off against early-stage nascent soul cultivators. Of course, besides the dream soul Gu, other Gu insects had also received varying degrees of enhancements. However, since none of them had broken through to the fourth stage, none of them had the same qualitative evolution in strength as the dream soul Gu. But this is still pretty good, as it can enhance his combat power to a certain extent. At this point, the four sisters of Chun Tao, Xia Tao, Kai Hu Dao and Dong Tao finally woke up. They slowly opened their eyes, realizing their current states, their faces immediately turned red. Thinking back to the events that took place last night, they were so shy they could not utter a word. To be honest, they didn't expect they had the nerve. However, this was the accumulation of many years. In essence, they had a certain degree of affection for this man. Moreover, after undergoing a life or death crisis this time, it forced them to make this major decision. But looking at the result, all of it was worth it. This. The four sisters, Chun Tao, Xia Tao, Kai Hu Dao and Dong Tao immediately sensed the abundant mana within themselves. Evidently this cultivation session had been beneficial not just to Zhou Sui,